Hello and welcome to another Tiamat tutorial video. This is going to be over some of the more advanced features of Tiamat. To start with, I want to show you templates. So templates are Tiamat scripts that leads or soups in larger facilities typically would use, or you might even do it if you have somebody you're working with on a smaller project and you want to sort of set up a template for them to use so that everything's named the same. The render layers are all named the same. Groups are and VROPs, etc., are all named the same. Your AOVs, etc., are pretty much similar from shot to shot. Templates is a good way to do that, and also be able to change and update things without messing up someone's local overrides. So, getting into it, let's see. First, you would say instead of load, you would import template, which is similar to a load, but instead it's actually loading it as what I call it a template. So if we go to render data, Tiamat, which is where I saved them, I'm going to load the first one as a template. And as you'll see, one big difference with templates is anything from the template except the actual layers or the actual groups or VROPs, they have a little up arrow in front of them to designate to you that this is from the template. What this does is this allows then the local artist, to load the template from the lead or soup or whoever is giving it to them, and they can make local overrides on top of it. So let's say this light here, I want to increase the intensity to something else. Let me get out the script editor again. Just show you. Let's say intensity multiplier. Let's copy that. And let's say my key lights group, it's called key lights. So key lights, and go paste. And I want to then do intensity multiplier, let's go 40. So say, as an artist, you decided, okay, this template is fine, but you know what, for this scene I really need to increase this light to 40 because that's sort of what the director wanted, or the art director or somebody. And so then later on somebody says, oh, you know what, I updated the template. You need to update your template. Now you don't want to lose this, and with Tiamat you won't. So what you'll have to do is then you could go File, Import Template. This time I'm going to load the version 2, which would be the updated template. Open. And as you can see, the template changed. Now it does VROP ground as a matte and VROP spheres as a matte instead of what it did before, and yet it kept your local changes for the artist. So the local artist can continue working. They can update the template at any time. You can always maybe have conflicting things happening, but that's up to the artist or the lead or whoever to decide what to do from there. But this allows for easy updating. Another thing to keep in mind is how Tiamat does its overrides. It does it from top down. So right now it first does this, then it does this, then it's going to do the third one. So the third thing it's going to do on this list is key lights intensity multiplier 40. This allows you to do some tricky things, like say you wanted, for instance, to add all of the, or you want to do something to all of the cubes. Let's say, let's go to the cubes. Say you wanted to have all of the cubes be to hide them for some reason. So let's say cubes hide, but then you don't want to hide this guy. So then what you could do is go paste from Maya. You have to backspace because it likes to add and enter. And then you could say unhide. So what would happen is Tiamat would then hide everything but unhide the actual cube 2. Now, The only thing I just realized because of how Maya works, um, Maya is probably going to hide the group, which means this isn't going to work anyway. But you get the idea, is that you can do something on a top level and then change something later on, which is a nice way to work sometimes if you have to do that. Not often do you have to do that, but it does allow for that. So just remember, it's top down on how it does things. But so that's templates basically. Makes it for easy updating and for not losing your local settings. So moving on, let's go to AOVs. I want to show you how to do a AOV list file. So right now, if I go update from Maya, all I have is my light selects, which is what Tiamat created for me. Let's create some AOV list file. How you do that is you go into render settings panel for V-Ray. You go in here. You can create whatever render settings you want to use. So again, let's say bump normals and diffuse and say lighting, and let's go reflection and say specular and say why not self-illumination. So what you do to create one is you select all the ones except light selects. Light selects need to be created within the scene. That's why Tiamat controls them separately. You say save, and under render data Tiamat you can again put it wherever you'd like. I'm going to say AOV list, save. So now just to show you, I'm going to delete these, close that, and then in here I'm going to click this little button which brings me to a loading screen to load an AOV list. So I'm going to say AOV list open, and it hasn't done anything yet, but if I say update AOVs from file, as you can see, it is now added and loaded those in. And then again, I can go through and oh, it's already got some of them selected. So I can go through and I can select whatever ones I want to be rendered in my layer. And when I build, it will build accordingly and set up the AOVs properly. So the nice thing about the AOV list, which is similar to templates, is a lead or a soup or whoever is giving you the work can give you an AOV list and then can update it. And it's very easy for you to add new ones. So if they change any of how the AOVs are working, they can update them and say, oh, just load AOV list version 2, and then you can just click this to go to AOV list version 2, say update AOVs from list, and it will Tiamat will load the new AOVs, select the same ones that you had selected before, and it keeps or tries to keep the selections. And then you can just select any additional ones that got added on the new AOV list. So it makes that nice and easy. So there's, again, an advanced part of it, which is the AOV file list and templates. Another more advanced part of Tiamat is this override section, which I'll show you here. The override section, basically you can track overrides, push overrides, which I'll show you. So let's just start here to give you an idea of what this actually does. It's not a section that I use often, but it does come in handy once in a while, so I left it in there. It's older. Actually, Tiamat has been in development for about 3 years, and it's been in heavy use where I work for at least a year, or close to a year. So here we go. Let's start by tracking Maya overrides. How it works is you go to the render layer. Well, let's first build our render layers. Hey, I haven't done that. Build all. Okay, so here we have our cube beauty, sphere beauty. Actually, let's change this a little. That's another thing you can do. I can delete this temporarily, but if I reload the template, Tiamat is going to put that right back in there. So even if somebody makes a mistake and deletes something of the template, they can get it back. But for right now, just temporarily, I'm going to clear that out so we can actually get a render out of this. So I'm going to build it. And so the sphere beauty layer, if I do a local render, this is what I get. So looks great. All right. So actually, let's open up the history. I'm going to first, let's get rid of these. So I'm going to add this. So there's my little history of Tiamat stuff, of the scene. And now I'm going to say, make sure I'm on the same layer as Tiamat as is for Maya. So I'm both on the sphere beauty layer. I'm going to say track my overrides. So now it's starting to track the Maya overrides. So if I go in here and say I select the light, and I go, you know what, I want to, and this is the time where you actually create overrides manually because it's tracking it. And let's say I want to go brighter. I'm going to go 40. Here, let's make it very noticeable. Let's go 60. So I make it much brighter. And then I'm going to say, okay, you can stop tracking now. Now what I can do is if I want to, I can say just push the override. And you see what it does. It manually just pushes in the V-Ray light. It uses the full path. Intensity multiplier 60. So it basically just pushed what you just did, what override you just did in that scene, into this layer. So let's say you don't want to do it. Let's say you want to save the override state. So I'm going to save it. We're going to call this one brighter. Okay, so down here you have a list of the override states. Here's one called brighter, and sure enough you can see this one has intensity multiplier 60. So what we can do is we can go do a local render, and there's a brighter. We'll save that. So now we have our darker one. This is our brighter one. And now let's, because Tiamat is non-destructive and we can get things right back to how they were, let's go build all. So now if you notice, if I go back to my sphere beauty, the light is back to what it was before because Tiamat's rebuilt it, because the override is not in here. It's been stored in here for later use if I'd like to. So now let's say again, let's say I want to track overrides again, and you notice it turns green when you start tracking. So go to tracking overrides, and let's go to the light, and again I'm going to go create an override, and I'm going to call this one 10. Intensity multiplier 10. Stop tracking, save this state. I'm going to call darker. So here's my darker. If you look, it's 10. And on my brighter, it tells you, that's 60. Gives you those notes. Now one thing about the notes is this, you can type stuff in here. It's not going to affect what the actual overrides are. So you can say made brighter for director. And then you can, under darker, you can say darkened for test or something like that. However you want it. You can type whatever the hell you want in here. I just have it put this in here to remind you of what the actual override's going to be when you push the override through. So now what you can do, and again we can build all to clear that out, what we just did. And again, if we go to the sphere layer and the light, it is back to its regular 30. So now let's say you show these, show the different renders of with it darker and brighter, and show it to whoever, the director or somebody, and they say, you know what, I like the brighter one. So then you can go back here and you can go to brighter and you can say push override state, and then it's going to push everything that you did to get that look that they like. As long as you used overrides, it's going to push all of that in here for you, and you're going to get then exactly whatever you did to get that look. You'll get that look back by going build all. And because now you have that override in there, you can go back to, let's go back to the sphere layer, select the light, and again it's set to 60. So this allows you to have different renders, track the different renders, and get back to what you want. I personally like to still keep everything within groups, but this is also, again, like I said, it's not something I use often, but it is handy. If you want to use this ability to do different tests. But then what I would do is I would actually change this back to whatever group it should be. So like I would take this and then go to, say, selections and say key lights, maybe paste that in there. But then you have to, there you go. That would work too. So if we did build all, and then we go to the sphere layer, select the light. Oh, it's 30. There must have been something I did wrong here. But oh, did we? No? Sorry, I had a little glitch there. So yeah, actually, if we look at here, I actually put this under the cube layer by accident instead of the sphere beauty layer. But anyway, this will give you the idea here. So you have key lights intensity multiplier 40, and we rebuilt it under the cube beauty layer. And if we look, sure enough, it's set to 40. So this, again, overrides will allow you to get back to exactly whatever kind of look you showed them. You can also clear a selected state. So you can say, yes, I don't like the darker. I can just clear that right out. And then now all you have is brighter to choose from. I can clear all states. Let's get rid of all of them. And there we go. Clean it up nicely. Now another thing you can do, let's get rid of this, show you. And let's build all again, just to clear everything out. So another powerful tool of the overrides, again, don't use it often, but it does help. If you're on the, say, the sphere beauty layer, and you go here and enter render stats, and let's see, I'm going to turn off primary visibility, and so again, now I'm doing manual stuff. I'm outside of Tiamat, which is not recommended, but if you did do something like that and you want to just get something really quick, okay, then I want to change create the primary visibility here, and whatever other changes you want to do. You can update those in Tiamat. You can tell Tiamat to basically fix itself so that it'll do what you just did by just saying compare overrides selected. So you select this same layer that you just did all those overrides to, and you say compare. And what Tiamat does is it fills in all the typing for you. So everything that you did there, it does the override and puts it in the proper Tiamat format for you right here. Again, not necessarily recommended because it is messy. It's not using groups. I personally like all groups because of the power of groups that allows you to update things and change things very quickly and keeps your Tiamat script nice and clean and working all the time. Like here, if you had this sphere shape, if someone changed the name of the sphere shape or something like that, your Tiamat script may not work, or if they wanted you to add like a second sphere to this primary visibility or something. That's why I use groups. But this does allow you to get overrides of things that you may not be able to find normally in the script editor. Another thing you can do is compare overrides of everything. So let's say, like here, we did those overrides of things. Let's say we did some in the cube layer. So let's go and change this to cast shadows off, and let's turn off double-sided on the plane. So now you can be on any layer and just say compare overrides all. And what it does is it does it for all the layers. So now again, the same thing as you had on the other one. Let's say if I go build all, now it's going to do the proper overrides on the proper layers for you that you did before. Keep it all up there for you. So that's the override section. Again, very powerful, but Not something I use all the time, but it's there for use. I like to keep things nice and organized in groups, but there is uses for this. Let's see, you have the selections area. You also the went over the edit farm commands on other areas. On another tutorial, you've got the template, import part. Just to show you as a last thing here, the help menu. It's quite extensive. This is sort of the guide to Tiamat. It explains sort of all the different uses and things you can do, what all the different buttons do. It's divided into different sections. So the introduction, what is Tiamat, file menu, edit, etc., layers, all the different parts of the layers, groups, V-Ray object properties, actions, AOVs, light selects, logo renders, selections, and overrides. So if you ever have any questions that the tutorials or whatnot have not gone over, you can always open up the help file, and hopefully it should all be in there for you. So that is the more advanced usage of Tiamat, and hope you enjoy Tiamat. Thanks.